Life mastery is an interesting topic. I'm excited to progress and grow and learn how to master certain areas of my life. As a Mormon, I noticed that the new challenge for adolescents and youth is life mastery. Now they don't use those words; they use progression. Progression has been the word that has been hailed as the sort of a catch-all phrase for personal development in the church since at least Brigham Young, maybe even before that. So progression is simply the idea that a person can develop and grow to become the child of God that God intended that person to be, and God intends all of us to grow. If you look around at creation, you see the process of growth. You see the process of progression. Look at a tree. Look how the tree starts out as just a seed, and somebody plants that seed in the ground, and then you add water, and you add sunlight, and perhaps cultivation and fertilization, and you protect that seed, right? You protect that little tender shoot as it comes out of the earth. You maybe you put a little fence around it, or you guard it from animals eating it, or so forth, and you let it grow under the sun and under the rain and under the oxygen, and eventually it becomes a tree, a big tree. Same thing with people. People are no different. People grow, they need to be watered, they need to be cultivated, and they are, and they are. And uh, when I think about my childhood, about all the examples that I had, my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran and a very good person, a very good man. You know, he raised a family, he purchased a home, he had money left over for vacations and having family come visit him and taking his grandchildren out to the beach or to Disneyland or to the car show or for a bike ride on the beach or kayaking or even hiking, camping. It was a pleasure to be a grandson to Richard Noak. So I was given some really good role models. I had an uncle who was very, very good with his money, and he was a Navy veteran, and he was just a good guy. He watched his diet. He was a faithful husband. My mom is a very good example. She was she had me and my sister. She got a college degree. After the divorce, she managed to work as a substitute in the Central Valley, and then she eventually got a full-time teaching position as a bilingual teacher. So she persevered in the midst of a terrible divorce. And then through tragedy, my sister died, and my mother persevered through that. And then all of my problems, my 150 days as a homeless person. Well, I was living in my car, but I think that still officially qualifies for being homeless, though some might say that I was transient. But all that I went through, my mother went through as well. My dad was an example in many ways, but he also had some issues that he struggled with addiction. But he managed to persevere through those and come out pretty much on top of it, though the disease itself had ravaged his body. And there are other people, but I look at all those things, as all those people in my life, as examples of sunlight and rain. And the same thing for you, I hope, that you were given role models. And we also, beyond role models, we also have the whole sunshine and rain of being in a body, of being able to grow and develop and use our hands and our eyes and our ears and our brain. Those are tools that God has given us. So I enjoy the concept of progression and life mastery. Now, when I was homeless, I told myself, well, I'm living in my car, but hey, let's make this a game. Let me master living in my car. So I found out right away I needed to basically join a gym so I could take a shower, because you have to stay clean. So I would do that. And I did have a little bit of money coming in every month. So I was able to pay for my insurance and my gas. So I figured out, well, I gotta keep clean. So then I went to the laundry and I did my laundry every week. And I had a little system where I put my dirty clothes in one side of my trunk and my clean clothes in another side. And I had a system where every night I would park in a certain spot and I would, I had my sleeping bag ready. I would put something under my feet. I would turn off the engine and I would just immediately get comfortable, and then I would go to sleep. It was the same ritual, and I would pretty much wake up with the sunrise, or different times of the day. Sometimes I would wake up at 5 in the morning. Sometimes I would wake up at 6. Sometimes I would wake up at 7. But I was typically on the road by 7, and would go to the gym, shower, and usually I spent a lot of time in public parks. I would just recline under a shade tree. I had a zero gravity chair because I had a problem sitting back then, and I still have a problem sitting because of my back pain. But I had a zero gravity chair, and I would just recline in that chair, and it was great. It was kind of boring at times, but I would move around from park to park. I would eat at the local soup kitchen. Sometimes I would go out to eat, but it was a system that I had. But I didn't like it when it rained because I couldn't go to the park, so I hated rain. And I couldn't sit, so I couldn't go to a Barnes and Noble and sit all day, or go to a movie, or go someplace, a restaurant, and sit. I couldn't sit for very long. That was a problem. The zero gravity chair actually balanced my weight so that it didn't hurt my back, and I couldn't take my zero gravity chair with me into the mall. So those were uncomfortable days when it rained. And some days it was very cold. I would just wake up freezing. I mean, my nose would be freezing, and I learned to put a hood over my face, but after about 150 days, I said enough is enough. So things changed. But mastery of the car was something that I basically mastered. And it's not very hard mastering living in your car. But believe it or not, a lot of people don't even know how to do that. They don't even know how to do that. You got to wash your car. You got to keep your car clean. You got to keep organized wherever you are. I don't care if you're in a little room, in a little studio, like I am right now. I'm in a studio, in your car, wherever. You got to have some kind of system of mastery, of organization. So after that, I briefly lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, but it was just too big for me as a single person. So I ended up moving into a studio. And I told myself, I'm going to master living in a studio. Well, it took a lot longer than I thought. And ultimately, I got to a point, though, where I am at a point of mastery in the studio. I'm at a point now where I know what's in my closet. I know what's in the bathroom. Everything is organized. And I'm actually a little disappointed that I don't have more walls to put some of my my art on. I've run out of space basically for hanging art. So now I'm thinking, well, I might have to move up to a 1-bedroom pretty soon because it is cramped. But I told myself, you know what? I could still do a little bit more to perfect where I'm at. I'm getting pretty content with my living situation, and we'll see how it goes over the next 6 months. But I really, really want to urge that you master your living space. Now, I'm not the best. There are other people who are better than me. They have better cabinet space, or they know how to work every single angle. They know how to organize every single square inch. I'm not there yet, but I'm a lot better than I was. And I would say I'm above the average American in terms of organization. For example, I just organized my dad's toolbox. I finally looked into it and really took a serious look at it. I threw away some things I didn't need, and I basically organized it, and I'm really proud of myself. I finally have a toolbox, and I actually know what's in it. So that's a big, big step in progression for me. So wherever you are, just Tell yourself you're going to master that area. And if your place is too big, downsize. Get into some smaller place until you feel content, because contentment is important. You got to be content wherever you are. And then number 2, you just got to be organized. In fact, those are the 2 life skills in terms of life mastery of your living space. Number 1, contentment, and number 2, organization. In fact, if there's anything else you could learn in this audio presentation, just learn this. You've got to be content where you live, and you've got to be organized. And if you haven't mastered where you are, downsize. So, that's all for today. Thank you for listening. I welcome your comments, and I'm sure there will be some great comments one day. And good luck to you, and I hope to hear about your progress.